Hey guys, what is up? It is a Fast Break Report here, bringing you guys another vlog. Now, I want to talk about something that's probably not anywhere near as interesting to you guys, but this is something that I found interesting, and it's something that I didn't really expect to see. But being as the NBA right now is like open season at the Y, like anybody can get a 10-day contract right now, it seems. Like, I'm sure if some of you went out there and showed that you could shoot a basketball, you could probably get a 10-day contract right now with a team. We're seeing guys like Joe Johnson, who's 41 years old, Isaiah Thomas, Greg Monroe, Earl Clark. Like, we're seeing these guys who used to be in the NBA getting NBA contracts now and getting a second chance. But in this process, we're also seeing guys who I feel weren't given a legitimate chance, get a legitimate chance. And one of those guys is Cassius Stanley. And I'm going to explain why I think this is and so on and so forth, but I'm excited for this because as a Pacers fan, okay, when Cassius Stanley was drafted, he was a late second round pick. It was obvious he wasn't NBA ready. But this is a kid that I knew could jump out of the fucking gym. And athleticism is not something you can teach people. You can teach people fundamentals. You can teach them to play defense. You can teach them to shoot a fucking basketball. But you cannot teach athleticism. And Cassius Stanley is 6'6" and has the highest vertical leap in like Duke history, if I'm correct, okay? Like, he has a higher vertical leap than Zion Williamson. So this is a kid that can jump out of the fucking gym. He literally broke Zion Williamson's vertical leap record at Duke University. So, like, I knew he was special. Like, this is a kid who was touted in high school as the next Vince Carter when he was, like, in 9th or 10th grade. And yes, I'm kind of living in the past where it's like, you know, obviously the days of him, like, just dominating games by dunking and shit like that are, you know, out of the question, right? But, like, part of me is kind of like, what makes him any different from Zion Williamson? Okay, and the reason I'm saying that is because they both went to Duke University. And Zion Williamson is good, okay, but he is also a similar story to Cassius Stanley, where his niche has been dunking the ball. And Zion Williamson brings more to the table with being a bigger body. I don't really know if Zion Williamson's a better shooter than Cassius Stanley. I have yet to look at that. But Zion Williamson's a guy who is very much going to score all his points around the basket, and Cassius Stanley is another guy who can dunk very well, and can actually stretch the floor a little bit. You know, he's in no way, shape, or form Joe Harris or Duncan Robinson or like a JJ Redick, Kyle Korver type, but like, he can shoot the ball a little bit. And I've always had this idea in the back of my head that if Cassius Stanley was just given a shot, right? If Cassius Stanley was just given a shot on a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder or the Detroit Pistons, who managed to pick him up, if he could get starting minutes in the NBA on one of these teams that are just not doing anything, I think it could do wonders for his development. You know, his draft scouting report literally said he has the opportunity to be a better NBA player than he does a college player. Even though he's obviously not ready for the NBA, the potential is there, right? And last night, Cassius Stanley got his first start for the Detroit Pistons and scored 19 points, okay? And it was mostly catch and shoot three-pointers. He had some nice, you know, contact layups around the rim, getting, you know, an and one and stuff like that. And it amazes me how quick the Pacers gave up on him, because they're like, oh, well, he sucks at shooting and he can't play defense and he has a terrible feel for the game. But, you know, I don't think people realize this. Anthony Edwards, who was the number one pick in, the draft a year or two ago? 2 years ago. Anthony Edwards was the number one pick in the draft, and it took him 40 games to finally, like, mold into the player we expected him to be. A lot of people, you know, don't remember this for whatever reason, but Anthony Edwards first, I'd say 40, up until the All-Star break, just after the trade deadline, up until that point in his first season, Anthony Edwards was not a consistent player. He, you know, struggled with what shots he should be taking. He struggled with making shots. He struggled with adjusting to the NBA game. And now that he's gotten the ability to play it, he understands the pacing. He understands what shots are good, what shots are bad. He's developed a little bit of a chemistry with his teammates. And Anthony Edwards looks like one of the best shooting guards in the fucking league right now, okay? So it's just the idea, like, I think there's something to be said for giving players opportunity. And Cassius Stanley is one of those guys that I believe in. You know, I'm probably the only guy on fucking YouTube right now who actually believes in Cassius Stanley to become a good NBA player, because everybody who was a Pacers fan thought the kid sucks. But he, like, my ideology and thinking here was like, he's a late second round pick, and people expect him to be like, you know, fucking LeBron James. Like, Pacers fans, for whatever reason, have this notion in their head that every player they draft has to be fucking amazing, or, you know, the next Kawhi Leonard. But it's just the idea. I think Cassius Stanley, I'm going to be watching his story very closely, because he's a guy that I thought was going to be really, really good. And I think he has the potential to be really good. He just needs a chance. And I hope the Detroit Pistons give that to him. I mean, they have like, what, 5 or 6 wins all season? They don't even have 10 wins yet. So it's like, why not play Cassius Stanley more minutes? You know what I'm saying? You're not winning anything anytime soon. Put him out there with, you know, Cade Cunningham and Sadiq Bey and some of these other guys and see how you do. Because Cassius Stanley had a very solid summer league. I don't think people realize this, but like, the Pacers went with Dwayne Washington Jr. and now they have Kiefer Sykes and Brad Wanamaker. They picked up these guys instead of Cassius Stanley, and Cassius Stanley was 6'6" and playing really well in the summer league. I think he had a game where he shot like 70% from the field, and towards the end of the summer league, Cassius Stanley was arguably the best player on that summer league team. So, actually, no, not really. There was Chris Duarte. Chris Duarte was playing really well. I forgot that. But it's just the idea. Cassius Stanley showed signs of being a consistent player in the summer league. And I just think to myself, if you give him a shot in the NBA, you give him a shot to actually, like, prove himself and show what he's capable of, you might actually have something, okay? Like, granted, he sucks at defense and stuff like that. The ball handling needs some work. He needs a little bit of a better feel for the game and stuff like that. I get that. I get all that stuff. But that's stuff that just comes with playing time. That's stuff that, as you play and go on, you'll learn, like, okay, you know, I should be in this spot at this time, and, you know, ball handling and shit is stuff that can be worked on. Playing defense is stuff that can be worked on. But if the biggest gripe you have about him is the idea that his feel for the game is not great, and that he's, you know, a poor ball handler and doesn't play defense, well, half the league doesn't play fucking defense, hate to break it to you. There's not a lot of guys in the league who are uberly great at dribbling the ball, and the idea of the feel for the game thing, just let him fucking play. He'll figure it out. You know what I'm saying? It's just the idea. I'm excited to see Cassius Stanley get a shot. You know, I follow him on Twitter. I follow him on Instagram. And, you know, there is the rumors out there that he has an attitude problem. He wasn't showing up to practice and stuff like that when he was on the Pacers. He didn't handle, like, the rookie initiation thing very well. But you know what, man, it's just different generation. I just think if this kid's given a shot, he knows what he's capable of. I think I know what he's capable of. And I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination that he's going to be the next Vince Carter. That's a fucking long shot in itself. But I think he has a potential to be like a Gerald Green type player. You know what I'm saying? A dude who is uberly fucking athletic, who can shoot a 3 every once in a while. And who knows, you know, like, he's still very, very young. He could have the potential to be like, you know, I guess you could say a star cresting type player. Like, we've seen second round pick players become guys that were, you know, solid. You know, they're not guys that, you know, are anything fucking great. But I think, like, if you look at some of the most, like, the historic second round picks in history of guys who actually became solid, I think Manu Ginobili was a second round pick. I think Gilbert Arenas as well was a second round pick. I could be wrong, but it's just the idea. Sometimes you find gems in the second round of the NBA draft, and, you know, I'm actually going to look this up. Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert Arenas was what was he drafted? Okay, I guess Gilbert Arenas wasn't even drafted, was he? Where was Gilbert Arenas drafted? Golden State Warriors. He was the 31st. Okay, so he was the 31st overall pick in the 2001 NBA draft. So Gilbert Arenas, okay, was literally like almost the last pick in the fucking draft. 31st overall, and we saw what he became. And Manu Ginobili, if I'm correct. Ginobili draft position. Manu Ginobili, yeah. So the Spurs used their 57th pick to draft Manu Ginobili. Okay, so it just goes to show that every once in a while you can find a guy who's a diamond in the rough in the second round. And I think Cassius Stanley has that potential. I think he has the ability to be like a Manu Ginobili type player where he's like a sixth man who could arguably be a starter on some teams. And I'm not saying he's Gilbert Arenas, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he's like, Gilbert Arenas coming out here and frying Kobe for 30. But it's just the idea. I think he has a lot of potential given the chance. So, tell me what you guys think about this down below in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on this. Like helps me out. Subscribe if you guys want to see more. This has been the Fast Break Report, and I'm out of this motherfucker. Peace, guys.